And we bring in our NFL insider, Ralph Vacchiano, for more on this topic. And simple question, Ralph, why did it take the Giants so long to cut ties with Josh Brown?
Well, there's no really good explanation for why it did, but it has to be one of two things. Either they didn't have all the information at the beginning when they decided to stick by him, or they just wanted to believe his story so badly that they thought there was a legitimate other side to it. But regardless, the Giants clearly waited too long. They eventually had no choice but to cave to public pressure, which is what did this in the end, because the outcry was too big from the media, from the fans. They just knew they looked terrible the longer they kept him on the team.
And that segues us nicely into our second topic, which is between John Mara's original support for Brown, then all the confusion today regarding the statement from the Giants and the statement from ESPN. Did the Giants let this spiral out of control, Ralph?
Well, they did. I mean, they seemed to mess this up at every single turn. Honestly, I don't know what they could do to make this worse outside of build a statue for him outside of the stadium at this point, because when this began, there seemed to be enough evidence. It turns out they had a lot of evidence of at least a couple of instances, and they still allowed him to stand up at a podium and say, well, it was just a moment. They allowed Ben McAdoo to stand there and say he supported him as a man and as a father, and they went into hiding. John Mara, Jerry Reese still hasn't spoken about this, and John Mara had one press conference after he waited a week to do it. So they went way too long in dealing with this. They made it worse at every single turn, and it became really a mess that, in a sense, they created for themselves. Maybe they got a little arrogant that they thought this would all go away. They felt like maybe all the information had been out there. They did seem blindsided by the last release of documents, the diaries and the emails and things. There came a point where they just said, we want to try to support our player, and I guess they must have felt like what was out there wasn't bad enough to have the public outcry that there was.
Does Josh Brown ever kick in the NFL again?
I'd be shocked if he ever kicks in the NFL again. He certainly will never kick for the Giants again. I think that's obvious now. Guys like Josh Brown, Ray Rice, Greg Hardy, they become toxic. If you bring him into your camp, you have a lot of explaining to do to the media and the fans. And, Josh Brown is a mid-30s kicker. I don't know that any organization is going to bring in that kind of trouble for a guy like that.
Ralph Vacchiano, we appreciate you coming on as always.
My pleasure.